A handful of large weapons developers are already building demonstrators and prototypes of what's called the next generation combat vehicle. The Army's effort to build a new generation of vehicles for 2025 and beyond, potentially a family of vehicles, but General Cummings, who heads PEO Ground Combat Systems, told Warrior Maven the real push initially is the infantry fighting vehicle. Could be a replacement for the Bradley.
Command is taking a look at how we want to fight in the future, and they're coming back to us in the acquisition community and the science and technology community of taking all the things we can to make sure the formation could do things they wanted to do in the future. Not just, and then maybe some of those things will do so well that we're developing maybe for the future we can spin it into some of our current platforms in our current fleet right now.
Bradley. The concept is to have a squad or as many as 9 soldiers under armor supporting maneuvering infantry. Key things: deployability and mobility. They wanted to keep pace with fast-moving ground troops and other faster armored vehicles like a Stryker. They wanted to be able to cross bridges and go places that a 70-ton Abrams tank can't go. They wanted air deployable. You have something like an Abrams tank, it has to go by ship. It's simply too heavy. It also has mobility restrictions. They want lighter weight. Now, some of the industry offerings are one called Lynx by Raytheon and German manufacturer Rheinmetall. They've developed a vehicle which is adjustable in terms of size or flexible. It could go from 37 tons all the way up to 55 tons, depending on the threat and depending on Army requirements as they continue to evolve them. It has a cannon which could go up to a 50mm cannon, which is what the Army requirements are asking for. And like some of the other offerings, it has a hunter-killer counter-drone attack. It can launch something called the Coyote drone. It can work in tandem as a swarm of drones to blanket an area with ISR as sensors, or they can themselves function as expendable weapons and attack targets and knock them out of the air, whether it be an approaching drone or an armored vehicle. The Lynx is also being built with an extended range tow missile. They're working to accommodate an Army request for a longer range tow, and so they're looking at a newer propulsion system so they can take out armored threats at further distances. Now, it would be impossible to talk about the next generation combat vehicle without emphasizing sensors. The Lynx, Raytheon, and Rheinmetall are looking at a handful of different sensor systems. One is infrared to have higher resolution, longer range, better image fidelity to detect targets much more quickly. That's something the Army is very heavily focused on. They're also looking at a commander's independent thermal viewer, and they're looking at under armor shooting and targeting. It's where you can be under armor, look at a screen, recognize, attack, and destroy targets without having to expose yourself to vulnerable enemy fire. Well, the Lynx is looking at a whole new generation of that. In addition, they have something called ITAS, which is a long-range sensor designed to inform and help the tow missile guide itself to targets. Also, of course, advanced computer processing, consolidating sensors from a variety of nodes into one, using smaller form factors so that you can have better sensing technology and fewer number of packages or boxes so that you can have something better able to move quickly. Now, this NGCV program had been slated for the 2030s and began a few years ago purely in concept. Well, the Army is so interested in this, it's been massively accelerated. They're looking for vehicles as soon as the early to mid-2020s. Kris Osborn, Warrior Maven.